You're listening to The Real Fan Review with Hav, Sanj, Al, and B.
What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from The Real Fan Review. Today, we're going over that new Mulan going on Disney+. Sanj told us Knight Rider's coming.
Didn't.
We got John Wick 4 and 5 being made at the same time, and still our feelings about that. Netflix has a new option I don't really understand. And then we're going to ask the fellas some questions about movies they've seen, whether it's something that they've walked out on, what's the movie that made them walk out, and also what movie have they played over and over again. So let's get right into it. With me today, we got our boy Sanj.
Good evening, everybody. As always, it's a pleasure to be with you.
We got my brother and yours, B.
안녕하세요.
Oh, that's a new one, B.
Yeah. Korean.
Nice.
Very nice.
We got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
Yes, and the four of us are back again. Yeah. So let's get right into it, man. Let's go into the big news from this week. And I think we all kind of called it and asked for it for New Mutants, but it's coming with Mulan instead. Mulan is going to Disney+.
I called it.
Mulan coming to Disney+ September 4th. It's saying that it's going to be on this thing called Premier Access. So on top of us paying our $7 a month, they're going to ask for another $30 for us to get access to Mulan a little bit earlier than everyone else. So with that deal going through, let's get right into it. Al, what is your thoughts on this Disney+ Premier Access deal for Mulan?
I mean, I knew it was going to be coming to Disney+. It was just a matter of time, especially with all delays we kept hearing with the theaters opening and so forth, and the resistance to people going to the theaters and the ones that did open.
Right.
But the way they're doing it, I don't know. Like you said, on top of the monthly plan that you have to pay for, what is it, $29.99 to rent it for just 48 hours?
Yep.
I don't know. I think that's a little bit of a reach, especially for that movie. If they had charged maybe the same $20 and said, all right, it's our property, we're going to keep it, but we're going to charge you the same that you would have paid somewhere else, maybe I could see doing it. But you're charging more than anybody else is charged for their VOD, and I still have to pay for the monthly access to your service.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was that much hype from. I mean, I know people were looking forward to it, but
right. Like this is all this whole Disney of taking their animated movies and making them real life versions. So yeah,
I don't know. It feels like a gouge to me, but I'm sure there's people that are going to still pay for it.
I hear you. And Saj, man, yourself, man, I know you're a big fan of Mulan. Mushu. What's your thoughts on this? I mean, is this something where you're willing to pay that extra $30 on top of your Disney+ fee?
No, I'm not willing to pay the extra $30 because it'll be out on regular Disney+ at some point, and I can wait. It's not a big enough movie or a big enough draw that I want to see it right away. You know, if it was Star Wars, you know, something big like that or some huge movie event, then I can see grudgingly still, you know, but still paying it, but not for Mulan. As much as I want to see the movie and everything, I can wait.
Gotcha, man. And Brandon, how about yourself, man? I mean, you're willing to pay $30 to rent it? I mean, because I don't think it's an option to buy. I think it's literally just to watch it within a 48-hour window. I think, you know, if it was to buy, I'd probably do it. So, but for $30 just to watch it, I'm still iffy myself. How about you, B?
I don't think Eddie Murphy would even pay $30 to rent it. So if he won't do it, I ain't doing it.
Wow. So the four of us are iffy. Well, actually, I'm iffy. The three of you are like, sure, you're not going to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I knew the move was coming, but for them to charge a premium already on a paid service is really hard. You know, especially when you're telling me that by me paying this $30, it's me not keeping it. You know, I'm paying $30 to rent it for that 48-hour period. And I'm assuming it's going to be a lot like what Apple does with this movie. So you have 48 hours to watch it. But if you finish it, you've already completed your rental. Right. So I'm assuming that's the way it's going to be because that's the way Apple does it. So then at that point, I'm going to watch it once. And by the time the credits roll, I've spent my $30, you know, and I'm not getting the theater experience out of that. Like, if I'm paying $30 at the theater, I'm getting the experience to be with you guys, which I can invite people over, but that's going to be that social distancing thing, and then I don't get that feeling like I'm in this movie theater, I'm doing this and that. It's me paying $30 to sit on my couch and watch it and maybe pause it a couple times.
Right. At least if you're at the theater, you're getting a day out or a night out out of it or something like that.
You get an experience.
Yeah. Right. Gotcha. Yeah. I just think that it's I guess them putting their little feelers out there to see if this is something they could do. I'm actually surprised that they're doing it this way, because I thought Mulan was a big enough movie where if they waited enough time, this is one of those possible $1 billion movies if they put it out on theaters. You know what I mean?
Thought it was going to be a winter movie.
Yeah, I just thought they were going to keep pushing back, but I think they just really want to open up and let it out, because, again, it's pretty much just us, the United States, really, that's having a big issue right now. I mean, there's a couple other countries as well, but I think what they're trying to do is open up the movies, in China, Japan, those other big markets, India as well. You know what I mean? Those are the big, huge markets right now besides us, and then, some of the other European countries. But I think they're just trying to release it because I think it's us in Canada that's getting this option, and that's it, really. So it's just for kind of like us to get it on Disney Plus. Everybody else has to go to the theaters to go watch it. So it's just pretty interesting.
If they had done it maybe like as an early access fee, maybe I could see doing it. Like instead of, like you said, instead of 48 hours or until you complete it, whatever their options are going to be. If you just said, listen, this was coming to Plus anyway, but for $30, you get to start watching it now. You don't have to wait till 2 months from now or 3 months from now, whenever we release it to the public on Disney Plus. You get to watch it now. Maybe I could see it seeing it as more of a draw, but to say $30 plus my monthly fee, and I only get to watch it in total once, I can't see it. If it was a bigger name, like if they had done this with Black Widow, maybe I could see it coming off, but
right,
not with a lesser title like Milan.
Yeah, like I think about it too. Like they put Hamilton out there, and Hamilton is this multi-million-dollar performance right now. On Broadway that made millions and millions of dollars. They put it out there for free. Would you have watched Hamilton if they had put it out there for a $15 premium? Would you have paid to watch Hamilton? Well, that's what you say after watching it. But would you have paid at that time, not knowing anything about Hamilton? It's one of those things. Like, would you pay a premium to see a movie on a paid service? Even Disney at the time for Hamilton, they took away that free period, that trial period, and you had to buy the actual.
Right. You wasn't getting Hamilton for free.
Watch it. So, it's one of those.
Yeah.
I
something like Hamilton. I would have paid the money to watch Hamilton. If they wanted to try it on something that's a draw.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's insane, man. But I just want you guys to know. Go for it, B. What were you saying, B?
And I was going to say, I just think that's interesting that this is the route they want to go with it. I think it's going to be ill received, except for those, families that have children that are looking for something to do. But I think on the most part, is that $30 worth it is going to come down to how it's more received.
Yeah, well, listen, I just want you guys to know that if the three of you are the reason why Disney Plus doesn't put out Black Widow, I'm coming for all three of you. All right? Because that's how we were going to get it. Go for it, son.
Bring it, son. You don't want this smoke.
I was gonna say how they're gonna let you down. They're gonna be like, they're gonna make their Marvel announcement. It would be the New Mutants and not Black Widow. That's the Marvel announcement.
Yeah. It's insane, man. But yeah, man. I mean, and even the CEO of Disney now, Bob Chapek, I believe his name is. He's saying that, listen, this is a one-off. This is the only time we're doing this. Which I don't believe. And if this is a complete success, of course they're going to do it with something else. So, I just think this is one of those products of the time, just like how we talked about last week. We were saying that there's certain things that they're doing, like that AMC Universal deal. This is just something that's coming out because of the whole coronavirus, the pandemic going on. So, we'll see what else happens during this week and see what they say now.
Yeah, but throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Basically, yeah.
It sticks. Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. But let's go to the next topic for today, man, which is this thing kind of confused me. I wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one that didn't use this option or would use this option. Netflix is adding this option where you can either slow down the video or speed up the video to kind of go through it faster. Do you guys need that option? Sanj?
No.
No, right?
I hate myself is the question?
I mean, I might hate myself a little bit, but I mean, I don't want to slow down or speed up my movie. I mean, that's not what that's a different thing. If the movie, if I want to get through the movie that fast, then I don't really want to watch the movie. So I'm not going to waste my time with it. Right. That's really not, unless it's a function where you could like super slow it down to like try to catch all the Easter eggs and things like that. That I see is worthwhile if it's something like that. But other than that, what?
Yeah.
How about yourself? I mean, you see all these producers and all these directors. They're saying that if you slow down our movies, we're taking it off Netflix.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I don't know. The only reason I can see them putting the option out there is because I listen to a lot of podcasts. Right. There's some podcasts where there's a lot of gaps. The moderator or the speaker has a slow pace to them. So I will play them at a faster pace. So I'll play some of them at 1.5 speed, some of them even at double speed, just to get through the podcast faster. They also say we can comprehend a lot faster than we speak. So some of that helps to comprehension. But in terms of a movie, I don't see why you would want to bring that feature over. I know it's a popular feature in podcasts and audiobooks, but in something that's visual, not only are you going to speed up that audio, but you're speeding up the visuals. So now what you were supposed to be enjoying, you can't, because even that's going to be going at a faster pace. So I don't understand bringing over this feature to movies. No.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Brandon, yourself?
What the hell? I just no.
You wouldn't use the super slowdown for King George and Hamilton to see that spit?
No.
So wait, how? Da 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 da.
You know what? You know what scene comes to mind though for slowdown? I don't know about y'all, but the first time watching Matrix 2, when the architect is explaining stuff.
Okay, yeah.
I need pause in the dictionary for that.
Vis-a-vis,
ergo,
vis-a-vis,
and concordantly, I think it was.
Concordantly. Ergo, you're the one.
In absentia.
Yeah, when that happened in the movies, we were like, yeah.
Yeah.
In my life, I had never heard the term vis-a-vis before. I'm like, well, what? The fuck does that mean? Ergo, vis-a-vis.
Like, oh, he's talking like a computer. Like
error.
And speaking of talking computers, let's go to the next topic. My boy, your boy, Sanj, sent us.
Oh yes, they're doing it.
A Knight Rider being produced by James Wan, the guy who made Aquaman or helped produce Aquaman. Also did, I think he did Conjuring as well, right? Al, I think
maybe, yeah. I know he did one of them.
Yeah. He did one.
So wait, now, were you guys big Knight Rider fans as well?
Oh yeah.
So watch the.
I know of Knight Rider,
yeah.
but I just don't know Knight Rider.
Okay, all right. I didn't.
I just know. I know it's the Hawk.
I didn't realize that you guys were into Knight Rider as well. Like, I mean, I was a huge Knight Rider fan.
Brandon, you know the Busta Rhymes song?
Like, I was such a big Knight Rider fan that just because David Hasselhoff was in in Baywatch, that's why I watched Baywatch. Had nothing to do with Pamela Anderson running around in a bikini.
That's not why anyone watches Baywatch.
It was because of David Hasselhoff.
Him running in slow motion is the only reason you would watch that show.
Well, you better believe.
David Hasselhoff is on screen again.
You better believe every time I'm at the beach, I do that run into the water like they do in Baywatch. Like, I still do that to this day. Like, lifting up your leg all high and everything so you can still run in the water. You know what I thought would have been a really good thing for them to do with Baywatch? Like have it be, because basically the show to me was like a spin-off of Knight Rider, except they gave him a different name. You know, like they were doing all the same things, solving crimes and shit like that. I'm like, y'all are lifeguards. Why are y'all solving crimes? Like, I don't get this. You know what I'm saying?
Every
y'all
episode.
Are underpaid.
Yeah,
underpaid.
Exactly. Every episode, and they're like going in. They don't have no guns or anything, but they have their little personal buoys that they're taking to like fight crime. You know what I'm saying? Like they should just made that show a spin-off of Knight Rider where all right, Michael Knight retires and becomes a lifeguard and still ends up solving crimes. You know what I mean? Like that would have been freaking awesome.
Insane, man. But in regards to this whole Knight Rider thing, I mean, it didn't say if it was going to go like a comedy aspect, because I heard they were going to make the Knight Rider before with like a comedy twist.
Yeah,
but
I really hope they don't do like. I mean, I get it. Like they did it with 21 Jump Street, and it was actually pretty good. It was entertaining,
Right.
but I think that had more to do with like Channing Tatum than anything, and like his performance.
Right.
But
yeah, I thought Knight Rider they were gonna do with Seth Rogen.
Yeah, I really hope they don't go comedy on this. Like I hope they do it justice and bring it back, and really really do a good job with it. Just
I think they will.
Like make it like a crime drama, like and do that.
Yeah, because if I'm correct, James Wan also did a Fast and Furious movie as well. I think he did Fast and Furious 3. I think he did. For some reason, I think he did Tokyo Drift.
He did one of them.
Right? And I know he did one. And again, he did Aquaman, which did well. He also did those Conjuring movies are ridiculous.
You know Shit's gonna look like Manta Ray.
So I'm interested in a Knight Rider movie. Again, it's like San said. It's I hope they take it a little bit more serious. I really don't want a comedy of the Knight Rider, because then, I mean, if they could do it like 21 Jump Street or 22 Jump Street, then yeah, I'm all for it. But I just don't know if they could pull that off. But at the same time, I'm thinking how they're going to pull off Kit, the talking car here. And listen, and just like we like the Transformers sound, we have to have the
yeah. Well, they don't really have much to go nowadays, because the way cars are between Tesla almost basically self-driving and everything, and I don't think there's much for them to go with in terms of that part of the technology. So one of the reasons why I'm more excited is to see what they see as making him more advanced than what the cars are now, other than just simply talking.
Well, he has the new search engine. He's the new Siri.
It has to be like his features and things that he could do and whatnot, like EMP and stuff like that. But I mean, I one of the things where Knight Rider, they tried to bring back Knight Rider a couple times, and I think part of the reason why they failed, like they strayed away from like what made Knight Rider really cool. Like the car is iconic, right? And then in the most recent one in 2008, they went with a Mustang. As opposed to a Pontiac or a GM made car. Like now you have the perfect car available, like that Camaro would be perfect for Kit.
And don't have it shapeshift like they did in the reboot.
Oh my God, that was so horrible. I didn't even want to mention it. It was so horrible. And then
what about the fact that it was Val Kilmer?
Oh no.
I mean, they did work on the voice, so it sounded like a computer voice. It didn't exactly sound like Val Kilmer. I wasn't so upset about the voice as I was about like the fact they made it way too gimmicky. And I'm like, all right, we're saying this because it was a talking car, right? That could do all like sorts of things and whatnot. But it just seemed way too gimmicky. I mean, but they had a great concept for the series that they came out with, like the guy, Michael that had taken over Kit and was the main character. It was Michael Knight's estranged son and stuff like that. So there was some great story that they could have done and everything, and eventually bring back David Hasselhoff to reprise his character and everything, because that wasn't a reboot. It was supposed to be a continuation. So I mean, they had elements that were very, very good. It just wasn't executed very well. So that's why if they can take some of those elements and execute it really well, and for me, they would have to bring David Hasselhoff back in some capacity as Michael Knight, and
passing down the torch kind of thing.
Or, something like that. Whether because in the last one that he was in the Knight Rider 2000 movie, Devin Miles, who was in charge of the Foundation for Law and Government. Remember, he died in that movie. So it would be great if like Michael Knight had taken over the foundation and even like expanded it. Like now they have like a whole fleet of like a team, like, you know, and do something like that. I mean, there's so many ways they could go with it and make it good. You know, I just hope that they do.
Gotcha, man. Absolutely, man. So Knight Rider, hopefully in the works right now. I think they're saying they're just starting off everything. It's, again, being produced by James Wan, and hopefully we'll hear more news about that. And then, you know, once we do, we'll make sure we give you guys a heads up of what we hear and what we think about that.
Part of the good thing about like COVID and everything, like, you know, it sucks for the movies that were in production and in post-production and got delayed. But now, since everything is so held up, like if they come out with a concept, like really take the time this time and develop it well, pick your like, get some good story writing, pick the right actors and everything, and be ready to roll once everything opens back up. You know, like that could be like, you know, kind of a silver lining in all of this.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. And because of like this whole coronavirus things, that, you know, these studios are now trying to do all these things, like, you know, make sure that they have these actors set up for movies coming down the line and make sure they're part of the schedules, because everybody's schedules being all thrown off now, because movies that were supposed to be made 2 months ago, 3 months ago are now being made now or in the coming months. So everything's kind of thrown off, which leads us to our next segment, which is John Wick. One of the surprises that came out of nowhere was John Wick 1. John Wick 2 was good, and John Wick 3 blew our socks off, man. That movie was incredible. So it was doing good, and these movies are pretty much cheap to be made, and they're making tons of money off of these things. They decided now they're going to work on John Wick 4 and John Wick 5, and they're going to do it back to back to kind of make sure they have Keanu Reeves and all the staff there ready to go and just keep going from there. Now, my whole thing with the John Wick 4 and 5 being filmed together, we have examples of movies that are being made back to back that are great, and also movies that are going back to back that are not great. And here's my thought on this. I remember, you know, Fast and Furious being made back to back. I think it was 7 and 8 that were back to back.
Yes.
And they were pretty good. Infinity War, fantastic. Endgame, fantastic. But then we also have, I forgot which movie it was, but Matrix was one of those movies where it kind of like, they filmed Reloaded and also Revolutions together. And because they filmed it together, when they did Reloaded, they kind of like missed the mark on Revolutions because they didn't see that the crowd wasn't into the story as they were in for the original Matrix. And by the time we all saw Matrix Reloaded, it was already too late. Revolutions was already made. They were actually just cleaning up all the work. So now my question to you guys, and Brandon, I'll go to you first on this one, is what's your thought about John Wick 4 and 5 being made together back to back? Are you worried, or you're just like, hey, they can't mess this up?
I mean, I think about how the John Wick story has kind of done itself along the way. And it's a story that's very tight-knit. It flows into each other. So I'm not really worried about how the story is going to go between 4 and 5, because I know that 4 is going to pick up right where 3 left off, and it's going to do its thing, and then 5 is going to pick up where 4 left off. And I like that. My only concern is with the franchise itself. You know, it's hard to find a franchise-based movie past Harry Potter, which has gone, you know, which went to 7, 8 movies with this part 1 and part 2 at the end of 7. So it's hard to find that interest in the story picking up. You know, is it going to be like in the same case as Matrix? You know, if we don't necessarily like 4 for certain aspects, are you going to want to join in for the ride on 5? You know, I think about it that way. Like with Fast and Furious, you know, Fast and Furious wasn't always hitting the mark, but you kept seeing because of the entertainment of it. So is the action in John Wick going to keep you entertained past that story? You know, if the story doesn't hit the mark on 4, will that action bring you back for 5? You know, so I'm not worried about the story because I know how they're.
Yep.
B. I think there you go, B. I got you now.
Yeah, we lost you for a second there.
Oh, did you hear what I heard at the end?
At the end, no, B.
I was saying that I'm not worried about the story, but more about the longevity, if it's going to hold up.
Gotcha, man. All right. And then Al, man, for yourself, man, what's your thoughts here on John Wick 4 and 5? You were a huge fan of John Wick 3.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of all three. So I was definitely ecstatic to hear that they were making a 4. Surprised that they're making a 5, let alone that they're making it back to back. But the more I thought about them making it back to back, the more it made sense. One, especially with everything that we've learned from this year, nothing is given. So if they have the time to make the movies and they know they want to make a 5th, do it while you know you have the ability to make a movie, because you never know what may happen and then you can't make it. Not only that, to make sure you have Keanu Reeves for both of them, because he's turning 56. I mean, not that to say that's old, but he's turning 56 years old this year. Now, if you wait like they tend to wait 2-3 years, he's borderline 60 when he makes the next movie. Is he going to still be able to perform the stunts, the choreography for the fight scenes, the way they do it? So they might have been looking at it from that angle. Let's make these movies while he's still able to make the movies, and not force us into changing the story. And now there's another assassin that we're following to make the 5th one. So,
gotcha, man. Yeah. And Sanj, yourself and your thoughts on the John Wick 4 and 5 coming back to back. Any worries for you, or you just
no? I don't have it. Yeah, I'm good to go with it. I don't have any worries about it. I mean, the John Wick story is it's not that complicated, and so for them to want to do a 4th and 5th movie back to back like that, the entertainment value is in the fight scenes. It's in the choreography. So yeah, I would echo what Al was saying. Like, let's get them now while we can do it, and we know we got it, and then just put them out, and we'll enjoy it.
Yeah, man, it's good, man. I'm glad you guys feel that way about it, man. Because again, I kept thinking about Matrix, and there was like another movie too that I forgot that was filmed back to back. I think it was Back to the Future 2 and 3. The Back to the Future is still a classic, but the 2 and 3 are not as remembered as much as part 1. And 2 and 3 were filmed back to back also. So that was another one that was filmed like that. But like I said, I think these producers and writers and stuff, they're seeing what's working, and they're sticking with that trend kind of thing. So we may not see nothing that's completely brand new because they're filming them together, but at the same time, man, John Wick, man, I'm waiting for it. So
man. The only question becomes how soon. The only question for me then becomes how soon do they release 5? Since it'll have already been made.
6 months later or a year later.
Yeah. So I guess depending on how quickly the sales for 4 drop off, that'll help them decide how quickly they're going to bring 5 out.
Absolutely, man. All right, man. And that's it for news this week. So we thank you guys. And listen, if you have any comments about the news of the week, let us know. Comment below. Or if you listen on the podcast, email us and let us know what your thoughts are on some of those movies, the movie news of this week. Now, on to our next segment there. We usually try to discuss every once in a while, like movies that we've seen in the last week or two. So I just wanted to see if you guys got a chance to catch anything. I know myself, I got a chance to see Trolls Part 1 and Trolls Part 2. I think it was called Trolls World Tour. Oh, gosh, that was rough. For Trolls 1, I'm just going to tell you guys, don't even waste your time. Trolls 1 was really hard to get through. I think I fell asleep like 3 different nights trying to watch that one. And at least Trolls World Tour, the reason why I saw Trolls was because I wanted to see Trolls World Tour for 2020. It's, my goal is to try to watch every movie that came out this year. So Trolls World Tour was on there, and I didn't want to watch that one without seeing the first one. And I was just like, please, God, don't let this second one be like the first one. And it wasn't. So it was a little bit better. Nothing too much crazy. At least it had music and good music in it. You know what I mean? So I was very interested in the movie. So for me, guys, I'm going to tell you, for Trolls 1, don't waste your time. Trolls World Tour, I wouldn't rush to see it. It's no big deal. But the one that I did watch this week, that it was actually pretty good, which was something recommended by John Campia. He saw it this week. It was a documentary called Cubers. And it's on Netflix. And it's a quick 40-minute documentary about these 2 guys who do the Rubik's Cube. And I got to tell you, man, if you want to see that there's still good human beings in this world, you check that movie out. And you just get those watery eyes in certain scenes. And you have a certain level of respect for people because you see how they treat other people. So it's if you get a chance, if you're not doing anything, Cubers on Netflix is a quick 40-minute documentary. Well worth your time. That one, you should see Cubers. Al, did you see any movies this week or last week?
Yeah, no, 2 movies that I saw were Motherless Brooklyn and Palm Springs.
Well, Motherless Brooklyn is with Edward Norton, right?
Edward Norton, Bruce Willis, and I apologize if I mess up her name. The Gugu Batha.
Mabatha.
Okay. Yeah, that if you haven't seen that movie, watch that movie.
Really?
It's a time period movie based on when it was set, but it's a real good movie. One of the aspects that I liked about the movie that kept drawing my attention was the fact that Edward Norton's character has a condition. It's Tourette's. To me, it looked like Tourette's. But they never name it. I guess back then they never had a name they didn't have a name for it. So,
right.
But nobody made fun of him for it. Like it was something where if you see something in almost any other movie, you would see them make fun of him for it. His close friends, even people that he meets for the first time, it's moved past within 5 seconds. He says he has a condition. They're like, okay. And they just move past it. They deal with it. So I like that aspect. I was glad that they didn't turn it into a gimmick. Every time somebody saw it, they made fun of it. But then just from there, the story is pretty good. So if you haven't seen it, definitely watch that one. I watched it. Yeah, I watched it mostly because I'm a big Bruce Willis fan. So I watch almost anything that says he's in it. Mm-hmm. So, but even though he doesn't play a big factor, it's mostly Edward Norton. I'm not a big fan of his. I think he's a great actor, but I'm not. He's not a draw for me to watch a movie. But he did a real good job in this movie as well.
Awesome. Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah. But if you want to see a funny movie, see Palm Springs.
Yeah. How was that? Is that worth the watch or?
Yeah. If you have Hulu, definitely watch Palm Springs. It's got Andy Samberg?
Samberg, yeah.
Yeah, Andy Samberg
911 or 99.
And Kristen Milioti, I think Milioti. Funny movie. The reason I even saw it was because J.K. Simmons was in it. And I was like, all right, if he's in this, there's got to be something because he doesn't just take any roles. You know, his roles are usually pretty good. So I watched it. To me, it was a hilarious movie. I just watched it. I like their take on it. Does deal with time. So just watch it. It's actually a big factor in the movie, obviously, but the movie is so hysterical and how they treat it and how it plays out, and then it makes you wonder. I don't want to spoil it because I think you'll enjoy it, and it plays into the plot of the movie. Just watch. It's a hysterical movie. The way they deal with situations, the way they interact with one another, and yeah, it was definitely a watch for a movie I never heard of up until I just was navigating the list. I was definitely glad I watched it. So,
I'm going to get that Hulu password, Al. Yeah. Why don't you give it up right now? No one's watching. Oh man, Sanj, man, you get to catch anything in the last 2 days? I mean, you've been busy.
This week has been a little busy. I didn't catch any movies, but I finished up like the second season of Umbrella Academy. That's out there. That's really good. I mean, I know it's not a movie, but it watches like a movie because everything just kind of flows right into all the episodes flow into each other really, really well. So that I didn't catch anything other than that this week.
Hey, so Sanj, just really quick, would you recommend watching Umbrella Academy season 1 and 2 on Netflix?
Oh, absolutely.
Al's already said yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a comedy, but it's hilarious in ways, as well as and then you have all the fight scenes, and then of course there is some time travel aspects to it. It's very entertaining.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Brandon, how about yourself, man? You catch anything in the last 2 weeks or so?
Yeah, I saw a movie on Netflix called Desperados, and sorely disappointed. So it's supposed to be a comedy. It was not funny, but it's got a really good cast. So if anyone watches New Girl, it has Nassim Pedrad and Lamorne Morris. So they were actually a couple on the show on New Girl. So they're both in the movie, and Anna Camp is also in the movie, and Robbie Amell, they're in the movie. So basically, she's trying to find a man and this and that, and she meets Robbie Amell's character and changes her personality to like be with him in a sense, and he ends up like not calling her back after they hook up. And so her and her friends like send like a really nasty email to him and all this like, you know, like saying like, oh, your mother's this and that, like you're this, like your penis is this big, like all this stuff, right? And she gets a call from him the next day that, you know, he was in Mexico and he got into a car accident. So he was in the hospital, this and that. He's been trying to reach her. And so, you know, they hatch this stupid scheme to fly down to Mexico so they can go to his, like, wherever he was staying and hack into his email and delete the email so he doesn't see it. And so, yeah, it was really dumb. Like, it was like the most unplausible thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was very dumb. And in the midst of that, she meets Lamorne's character, who they end up, like, you know, falling for each other, this and that. But, like, the whole way through, which is very dumb. It wasn't even, like, funny dumb. You're just like, really? Like, I don't, like, at one point, she gets into, obviously, there has to be some kind of conflict in the movie. So she gets into a conflict with her friends, but the conflict like makes no sense. Like it comes out of nowhere, and it lasts an exorbitant amount of time, and you just don't really understand where it came from. So when it resolves, you're just like, "What?" You know. So I would.
Is it like Indiana Jones? The whole movie happens even if Indiana Jones is not in the movie.
Yeah.
That's the Temple of Doom theory, right?
So it was just I'd give it a 1 out of 5. Like if you have literally nothing else to watch and it pops up on your screen, try and find something else to watch. If not, click on it. It's got a really good cast. It's just not a good movie for them.
Gotcha, man. All right, man. Well, listen, those are the movies that we saw this week, man. I thank you fellas for giving us with your opinions and your thoughts on those movies, man. It was always awesome to hear those things. And then we'll go to the final section of our movie podcast this week here, and we'll go over some things that I was curious about because I was like, you know, I was questioning myself when I was watching Trolls, like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to myself? And then also, I caught myself about to watch Infinity War for like the God knows how many times because I had to make up for Trolls. So I was curious because those are the complete opposites, right? Where there was one movie here where I wanted to shut it off within like 30 minutes of the movie. And then there's his other movie I've seen so many damn times that I could recite it without watching it. And I was ready to watch it again. So let's start off with the bad and we'll end with the good. Just wanted to know by any chance, what's the fastest time you've realized you're watching a shitty movie and you want to shut it off and you shut it off? Sanj, what is the fastest?
I think it was probably like 5 minutes, but I cannot remember the movie. Like you just turn it on and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? You know, like, it's just and you're just like, I'm out. I'm done. I think it was like 5 minutes. I can't for the life of me, I can't even remember what the movie was.
Gotcha. Al, if I remember correctly, I know you said John Henry was something like that for you. Or did you make it through?
No, I made it. That's my problem. I'll force myself to watch a movie, even though
Al is dedicated. Like once he makes up his mind on something, he like has the dedication.
He's in.
Yeah, especially if I'm like, oh, let me watch it because of this person or that person. I keep wanting to say, I know they can carry it, and then sometimes, no matter who's in it, they can't. But
masochist.
Yeah, but in terms of like, years ago, there was a movie that I think during the opening scene, I said, oh, forget it, and I just turned it off. But like Sanj said, I think it happened so quickly, I forgot about I forced the movie out of my memory. I don't even remember which one it was.
Oh my God, so funny.
Yeah.
B-Dog, how about yourself, man? What's the movie that you remember just watching and you just had to shut it off? Or have you ever been in a situation where you had to shut it off?
5 minutes in to Freddy Got Fingered with Tom Green.
Sorry, what movie was that?
Tom Green's 2001 great movie, Freddy Got Fingered.
I have never heard of that movie, and I thought we were gonna have to freaking bleep you right now.
he's like, this is not what I had in mind when I put on this movie. Like,
did you realize what channel you were on when you put that on?
Like, like when you watch a Tom Green movie, it's Tom.
I mean, considering that you had a pet turtle named Freddy, you know.
I was like, oh, it's Tom Green. It's gonna be weird. But I was like, maybe it'll be funny. And like in the first 5 minutes, I think he's playing the piano, and there's like sausages hanging from the ceiling, and he's like, "Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausage?" And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And he's just bashing on the piano, like, bah, 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 bah. And I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And I was probably like 11 at the time, and I was just like, "I shouldn't be watching this movie."
Oh my goodness. I remember the movie that I think was probably the fastest time I kind of quit on. It was that movie where that guy, oh my God, it's one of my wife's favorite movies too. And it was the first time I watched it. I saw like a few minutes of it because it was popular as hell at the time.
Napoleon
Dynamite. When the guy squished the tater tots in his pocket, I was like, why the fuck did he just do that?
And
Nah, you have some of these movies like they just do dumb shit, and you're like, this is not for me. You know, like yeah. I get there's somebody out there that this is gonna appeal to, but this just doesn't appeal to me.
I'm gonna give you guys a little secret also. I love Anchorman right now, right? I've seen it like 3 times after. The first time I saw Anchorman, I shut that off because I didn't get the humor the first time I saw it. I was like, what are they fucking doing? Like, this is just ridiculous. Did they just meet up in an alleyway to fight different news crews with mace and an axe? Like, I didn't come in expecting that type of humor, and I couldn't do it. So I shut it off. It was one of those movies I was just like, nah, I can't do this. You know, but then I came back to it, gave another chance. I also gave Napoleon Dynamite another chance, of course, and I walked it all the way through. I still don't like Napoleon Dynamite. I still don't really get that humor. But Anchorman is funny as hell. So
wait, how do you feel about Nacho Libre?
Yeah, it's another one. Like I snickered a couple times.
I hate all the orphans in the whole world.
Oh my God. Everything you just said is everything I like to do.
You have to love it. It's great.
His accent in that movie is absolutely horrific. Like, I think that's the point, though, right? All right. So then now I have one last question here regarding the bad stuff, right? We'll get the bad stuff out the way. Have you ever walked out of a theater that you were watching a movie in?
Yes.
Brandon, really?
Yes.
Go for it. What's the movie you saw that you walked out on the theater?
Frank Miller's The Spirit. Holy cow. That movie has such a great cast. Like, meanwhile, the lead of the movie, I had no idea who he was. He played The Spirit, obviously. But you had Scarlett Johansson, you had Eva Mendes, you had Samuel L. Jackson. Like, the cast was great. The movie was such a snore. Holy cow. When I went to go see it with my best friend Jesse, it was me and him, and then like this girl I knew from high school and her boyfriend, and we were the only 4 people in the theater. This was like the opening week of this movie. And
clue
so,
number
like,
1.
it was like 25 minutes into the movie, and like I was like nodding hard. And I think Notorious Big had just came out, like the Biggie movie came out. And I was like, yo, Jesse, you want to go see the Biggie movie? Because this is horrible. I remember getting up and like the girl from high school, like making out with a boyfriend. I'm like, even they're not into the movie. And we went to go see Notorious. Like, it was terrible.
That's crazy. Oh, man. Sanj, have you ever walked out of a movie?
No, I have not walked out of a movie just yet.
All right. Al, how about yourself, man? Ever walked out of a theater?
Nah, not out of a theater. But no.
Yeah.
The only time I guess I could do it because I could at the time was when I was working at the theater.
Right.
And if a movie wasn't good, I left. But
he said if I had the physical choice to
leave. Because if I decided to come back, it wasn't nothing. It wasn't costing me anything at the time. But no, if I'm gonna lay out money, you think I'm doing it now with Netflix? Imagine when I was back then. If it was and I had to drive to the theater. No, I was.
Yeah, you're in it. Like, no, I'm gonna get my night out.
I'm invested.
Oh my god, I don't think I've ever walked out of the theater, but I've definitely come close to it, or I've done the fall asleep at the theater. I remember Speed Racer was one. We watched Speed Racer. I don't remember the beginning, the middle, nothing. I remember the credits, and then
okay, yeah, but wasn't it like at 1:00 that we saw that or something?
It was right after we saw Iron Man. Right after we did double feature. We saw Iron Man. We were hyped up. We were like, oh, and Speed Racer just came out from the people who made Matrix, and we went into that, and it was just that movie was horrific. Another one, which was I thought was going to be absolutely incredible because it had oh my god, who's the guy who played Joker?
Jared Leto.
Which one?
Joaquin Phoenix?
The most recent, Joaquin Phoenix, and it also had this other guy who just passed away, who was like a phenomenal actor. For some reason, I can't think of his name either. But the movie was called Master and Commander, and it was supposed to be these two phenomenal actors acting together in this movie, and it was about Scientology. And what a waste of goddamn time, dude! I kept like, should we walk out? And my wife was like, I think we should walk out. I'm like, no, it's going to end soon. And it just never ended. It just kept going. It was just so weird. And I remember when the movie ended, we were walking out, and everybody who was walking out, like, we should have left. Like, it's so bad, man. And you wanted to like it because it was like, oh, look at who's in it. Seymour Hoffman. I forgot his name, man. But
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yes, that guy. Yeah, he was in it, and Joaquin Phoenix, and it was just, I just couldn't get it. I didn't get it at all. But yeah, man, never walked out of a theater, man. So now let's get into the good aspects of movie watching here. So again, like I said, I was going to watch Infinity War for like the God knows how many times. I wanted to see if there's been a movie that you guys watched that you've repeatedly watched over and over again. What's the most repeated movie? Because as much as I say I've seen Infinity War, I think the movie that I've seen even more than that was The Dark Knight. I think I honestly can tell you when that movie came out, well, first of all, in the theaters, I saw it 5 times in the theaters, right? Then when it came out on Blu-ray, I would just leave it on in my PS3, I think it was that I had at the time, and just let it play over and over. I would put it on to play as I was falling asleep. I would just play it whenever I could. I would watch it when I could. I've already watched it twice this year, Dark Knight. So
You said twice today. I was waiting for. I just saw it twice today.
Today's part of this year.
But I honestly think that I've seen Dark Knight Rises, if I can tell you without lying, at least 25 or more times.
Wait. And Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises?
I'm sorry, Dark Knight. Just the Dark Knight. Yeah, the part 2 of that, that trilogy there. Al, what is the movie that you have replayed the most? And if you can recall or you can guess, how many times have you seen it over?
It would have to be Matrix, the first one, and Born Identity.
Born Identity?
Yeah, those 2 movies, I can watch them anytime I see it on. I can put the DVD, the Blu-ray in as many times as possible, and I'll still enjoy it each time I watch it. I want to say I've seen each of them no less than 10, maybe 15 times.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and it's just Matrix, just because of the novelty of what they did in that movie. I mean, it was a good story for that type of movie, but just the not seeing anything done that way before just caught me, and then just sucked me into the possibility of what, because 2 and 3 definitely took it in a direction I didn't enjoy as much. But just seeing 1 and seeing how much of a potential that movie universe, as we call it now, had, and the potential just draws me in every time. And then just Jason Bourne, I don't know. I guess I don't know why Born Identity draws me. I can watch that every time.
Wow, man, that's awesome.
I don't know. That one I can't tell you what it is specifically about it that makes me want to watch it every time I see it.
Gotcha. And Brandon, man, what's the movie that you think you watched the most, and how many times do you think you've seen it?
I can nonstop watch Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I probably watched it since it came out, like a solid 100 times. I even watched last week was the 10th anniversary, so they did like they for like charity did like a screenplay where all of the actors except for like Brie Larson, like even Chris Evans was there, and they read their parts, you know, on like Zoom with each other, and I watched the whole thing. Loved it. It was great. I can watch the movie nonstop. I love it.
Oh wow, Scott Pilgrim. All right, and Sanj,
Chicken isn't vegan.
Sanj yourself, man. What's the movie, and about how many times you think you've seen it?
All right, so Braveheart. I've maybe seen that movie like 100 times. Like
Braveheart.
I just love watching that movie. Even though like Mel Gibson turned out to be crazy, but still, I mean, like his acting in that movie was incredible, and just the whole. I just love period pieces like that, and then of course Star Trek 2. I have Star Trek 2 like I may have seen like 400 or 500 times. Wow. I may have seen like that many times.
Jesus, all right.
So I have a guilty admission to make that when I was younger, for some reason, I couldn't tell the difference between Braveheart and Dragonheart. So I just assumed Braveheart was a movie with Mel Gibson fighting dragons. And he met the one dragon who could talk. I couldn't tell the difference. So for the longest time, I used to tell people all the time, like, I love Braveheart. Like, Braveheart's great. And they're like, yeah, what's your favorite part? I'm like, when he meets the dragon, you know? And they're like, what?
They're like,
I'm like, I was like, yeah, when Mel Gibson meets the dragon.
They're like, were you smoking when you watched?
I cannot believe that I saw Braveheart for the first time last year.
Wow.
And I've only watched it once, but it was fantastic that one time I watched it.
Yeah.
I loved it, man. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was, you know, the ending, freedom. Oh, dude.
Okay.
So
when he rode the dragon and yelled freedom. Yeah, I know the best part.
So in college, my friend Nick and I, we were in a Spanish class together, right? So one of the things was we had to put on like a whole like skit and whatnot.
Oh.
So we ended up, it didn't have to do with like William Wallace or anything like that, but it had to do with like some guys, you know, in South America when, you know, Spain was colonizing South America and whatnot. Long story short, guess who ended up playing the Indian? So like we had me like tied up and stuff, and like before they cut my throat, I yelled out "Libertad!" And you had to see this. We were in like real production meetings, like having like figure out like what are we gonna do, like how are we gonna. I'm like, yo, we need to do this just like Braveheart, yo. And I'm gonna.
Yeah,
we got an A on that project. We got an A.
Awesome. It's just well deserved. Well deserved. Yeah, man.
And then the third guy in the group, his name was BJ, but since the Spanish class, we started calling him Bejota.
Oh my God. Nuts, man. Well, listen, fans, we appreciate you guys listening to us. This has been another great week for, you know, the podcast. We're getting more subscribers, more listeners. So we appreciate you guys out there. If you're new to the podcast, please comment below. Let us know what you thought. If you have any comments about what movie you've seen the most. So how many times have you seen that movie? That we'd love to know. Or if you have any comments about those worst movies, what's the fastest time you ever left the theaters? Let us know in the comments below, and subscribe as well. If you're listening on the podcast, you know, we appreciate you. And if you're not, you know, subscribe to, you know, one of our podcasts on one of your podcasting apps, or if you're on YouTube, subscribe right there below and let us know any comments you have or want for us. If you're trying to reach us, you could always reach us at therealfanreview@gmail.com, or you go to our website, therealfanreview.com, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Guys, we thank you for everything. We thank you for listening and, you know, your continued viewing of us. So we appreciate that. Fellas, we're going to call it a night. So Sanj.
Have a good night, everybody.
V.
Annyeong.
Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, for myself, Hav, again, we thank you. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a good night.